Okay, so good morning. I will try to explain you that what it is here about. If they have some reasonable questions, don't hesitate. Yeah, because
We don't expect any questions.
you know, I really like questions, but if they make sense. So we are a civic organization. I hope that every one of you at least have some idea what does it mean, civic society, civic organization or NGO. I hope so.
Yeah.
So we are a classical NGO, one of the oldest in Slovakia. We have been established. We have been established in 1992, in last century. So, but in any case, we are one of the.
What was that?
I hate this village radio.
Every day like this?
No. If somebody die or somebody born, or I don't know. So today probably somebody will be born.
Village radio.
So we are NGO which from the very beginning was focused on environmental education in any form or all forms you can imagine, and at the beginning or for a long period we had a center in Košice, or not the center, it was just an office, but from the very beginning we had some vision that we will create educational ecological center where we can present what does it mean sustainability or responsible way of life, because you know you can speak to people all this theory and so on, but it will be very boring if you know it disturbed me. If you will speak just about theory and there is no practice, because people believe in practice, not in theory. So, it is better once to see than 100 times to listen. And 10 years ago, we had a deal that in this village, we are living in this village about 24 years or so. Before that we were living in Košice. So we had already some contacts with self-government of this village, and self-government of this village 10 years ago told us that here is one piece of land and one old ruined building, and if we will reconstruct it and use it, we can get it free of charge. Yeah. So we have known that it is a deal which will be never repeated, and fortunately we got some support from one project, but it was not some important amount of money. And just to have some idea how was it 10 years ago, this was in the past it was part of school backyard. Here have been some playgrounds, so it was absolutely devastated because for many years it was not used. And this building, in origin, it was in the past school workshop, you know, for children to work with some tools and so on. It was absolutely ruined. It was just the first floor basement building. This part here, there was nothing. And the very first step was that we have called Patricia as our old friend, and we had a permaculture design session, let's say, here to prepare some plan how should be used this piece of land. It is almost half of a hectare, and how to subdivide it for some areas or some zones and so on, and how to reconstruct buildings, what to have here and so on. So it was the very beginning step, because you know, first you have to have some good plan. After that you can realize it, because without any plan, you know, the anarchists, oh, what plan we are going to do it. So you will do it, you will see that it is not good, so you will destroy it and do it again, and so it is not the best way. So the plans are sometimes very helpful. Well, so first we had prepared this plan. Of course, our idea was to use this piece of land as an educational garden, not a farm. We are not farmers. As an educational garden with some place for wild nature, with some place for medical herbs, with some place for some production of fruits and vegetables, even if it is not the goal of our organization to produce food. Our mission is to present how you can manage your land on a responsible way. Yeah. So it was the beginning to clarify our ideas, what we want to have here, how to do it, how to use it, and so on and so on. And after that, we started to realize all these changes. So first we started with reconstruction of this building. For this reason, I don't know if anybody of you are familiar a little bit with so-called organic architecture. Have you heard about Imre Makovec? Magyarok? Ismeritek? No. Imre Makovec was architecture who have developed so-called organic architecture style, which have, I think, quite a lot to do with principles of permaculture, even it is independent from that. It is dealing with using of natural shapes or natural patterns in architecture. That means not the direct angles and lines and so on. So what you will never see in nature, but natural patterns like curves or spirals and other natural patterns. and colleague, we found one colleague of Imre Makovec living in Košice, Peter Pastor. He is also architect, and so he prepared this plan for reconstruction. Our idea was to use as much natural and local materials as possible, but on professional way, because you know the building of house, it is a little bit different than to build a, I don't know, shelter for chicken, you know, because you have to survive some winters over there and so on and so on. We have presented him that we would like to create some ecological house and using some local materials, natural materials like straw balls, sheep wool, paper, recycled paper, technical hemp, and so on, soil, and other materials, and he has prepared the plan, and following this plan we realized it. Of course, some very professional works like carpentry, you know, the making of roof and so on, have been done by professionals, but other works like, for example, insulation of walls with straw balls, making clay plasters, you can see on the walls, insulating of roof with sheep wool, building of this cordwood shelter, because this part of building is completely new. There was nothing, yeah. So we use cordwood as another type of ecological building. So all these activities, green roof, for example, all these activities have been done with volunteers. You know, because if you are short of money, how you can, what you can do if you are short of money? What can help you? What do you need if you are short of money? You want to do something, but you are short of money. How you can
Ask for help?
Yeah, so ask for help. It is one, and the second, what feature or what ability you have to have.
Do it yourself?
Also, but it is enough to just to do it yourself.
Can find a way to make it cheaper.
Okay, and to find a way to make it cheaper for that, what do you need? What ability do you need for that? Knowledge and something more?
Creativity.
Be inventive.
Yeah, sure, of course, you have to be creative, yeah? So if you are short of money, you have to be creative, you have to be skilled, and of course it is very fine if you have many friends, because it is a way how to do it. As I told you, all these activities as building of green roof, 10 years ago, it was one of the very first green roofs around Košice.
In professional way.
Yeah, sure,
With
of course.
professional materials and so
Yeah.
on.
It was up to now. It is one of the only few cordwood buildings, maybe in Slovakia. This one, the cordwood, who have no idea about it. You can use the logs of cheap firewood, and these logs are connected with a mixture of clay, sawdust, and lime. calcium.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, cordwood have not so good properties as this part of building because this part of building, the original walls made from bricks, have been insulated by straw balls, and on straw ball there is a 5 centimeter layer of clay plaster. So the insulation features of this part of building are much more better than this part of building. But here you have only toilets and so on. So it was not so important to have it well insulated. But in any case, I would not recommend to build a living house on this technology, because you will have a lot of energy loss, especially during the winter. What is not very good, because you know, nowadays everyone is speaking about energy. Which energy is the best one?
Not you.
Preserved
Renewable.
energy.
Sorry?
Preserved energy.
Yeah, sure, of course, because usually people say, oh, the best is wind, okay, but now there is no wind. How I can switch on the
There is sun
light?
now.
Sorry?
There is sun now.
Well, in which period of year there is the least
Winter.
sunshine? In winter. In which period we need the most of energy?
Winter.
Of course, yeah. So in Spain, okay, but not here. Yeah. You will not survive. You can survive, of course, on this way, but you know, for example, here in this part, during the winter, very often we have so-called inversion. You know what is inversion? Yeah. So that means you have absolutely no sunshine. You can have, I don't know what types of solar panels, you will have no energy. Yeah, so the best energy is saved energy. It is the first step, how to think about the building. Not how to make energy, but how to save the energy. How can you save energy for heating, for example? What
You put on clothes.
Insulation, of course. You have to have as good insulation of building as possible. It is like in winter you are taking the clothes and so on. You have to do it the same with building, yeah. Because on this way you are not losing your energy from the building, yeah. Because during the summer it will be not so hot inside, and during the winter it will be not cold, yeah? Because it is well insulated. It is the first step to think about it. Yeah. So because of that, I will show you, or I can show you now how it, does it work, this insulation. I will bring you something. What kind of picture is this one? This is thermovision. Yeah. So this is picture taken about from this point. Yeah. So you can see the school building and Ecocentrum. Yeah. What does it mean? How you can interpret?
How much energy it is loses.
Who has trouble?
Yeah, sure, of course, because they had a reconstruction, but it was based on painting, you know, on very nice colors and so on. But all energy is losing for universe, you know, so they are hitting universe, not the school. So that's the point. Yeah? So if you will make some plans for your house, let's use this idea. I recommend because energy will be more and more expensive, not cheaper, believe me. and of course, I think that it is not necessary to speak about the climate changes and so on. Because climate changes will case that it is, I think, a question of few years that half of year during the summer in the this concrete buildings, people will use the air condition, and other half of year they will use the heating. Yeah, air condition is even more expensive as heating. Well, I told you that we have used the straw balls, clay. Straw ball is, of course, very excellent material, because do you know what is the how to say in the English, duté vlákno?
Mineralna vata.
It is not it is not mineral.
Наполнитель.
Dry
Наполнивач.
fiber. Dry fiber.
Hollow.
Dry.
Hollow fiber.
Hollow fiber.
Okay. Straw. Yes. Okay, but straw is example of hollow fiber. There is a number of examples. For example, hair of polar bears, not bears, polar bears, and so on. What do you think? What is the better insulation, the hollow fiber or the fillet?
Air. The air.
So
Yeah,
hollow fiber.
Yeah, sure. Air is insulating. Because of that, it is excellent way of insulation. What can damage the straw?
Mice.
And humidity.
Humidity. Not mouse. You should have the million of mouse to destroy it. Mouses are not usually living in the straw balls because it is not able for them to make some
Passes.
passes because it is pressed, you know. Humidity, it is the only problem you can have with straw ball. Because of that, we had to think how to protect straw balls from this side, because from which direction the wind is blowing?
North.
Northwest. Northwest. Where is northwest? Show me. Northwest. Yeah, okay. Northwest is over there. So this is facing directly to the northwest. That means we have known that we have to protect, for example, this face of building. And do you know some plant which is waterproof? Plant. Rastlina. Sorry? Not what is living in the water, but which is water proof. Waterproof. Waterproof vodovzdorné. These aloe.
Hemp. Konope? Hemp?
Hemp. Yeah, maybe some of you have seen that in the old times, especially if people are connecting the pipes, water pipes, they use the hemp because hemp is water resistant. Yeah, that means it is a natural material which is water resistant, so that from this side and from the back side of the house we have protected the straw ball with pressed hemp. Yeah, so this is the pressed hemp. There is nothing else, just hemp.
Can you buy the product in Slovakia?
Yes. Yeah. Don't eat it.
Don't smoke, just eat.
If you would smoke it, nothing will happen because it is a technical hemp. Technical hemp was produced here for 1,000 years. You know, Indian weed is a different type than technical. So we have decided to use this material to protect the straw. and on the if you will come closer.
You have like straw bale, then hemp.
Yeah, so first there is the original brick wall. Then there is insulation from straw balls. Then there is this pressed hemp, and also the straw ball can be destroyed by humidity, but also the classical clay plaster, which is here, can be destroyed by humidity. Maybe especially those who are from Ukraine know this traditional way. It is a plaster made with horse or cow dung.
Yeah, we do it in
Everyone knows.
Horse manure, not cow manure.
Some people say that also.
Because, actually, it's horse manure. Because
Yeah.
horse manure is more dense and it has a lot of fiber. Because
Yes, this
cows-
fiber is more, it's smaller or
Yes.
better processed. Yeah. So this is horse manure, of course. So it is a mixture of horse manure and some fine sand and fine clay. So it is very traditional way to make a plaster or floor. It is water resistant, so it is already it is working for 10 years. And it is facing directly to wind, to rain and to snow, and everything is still working. So
Can I have a question? So what is exactly the mixture that you use? Horse manure and clay or
And sand.
sand
sand.
and water?
What else can straw maybe?
Sorry.
Maybe it's not a straw, but when you milling the wheat, not milling.
But there is no straw.
It was not used. No, it is used here because this is the traditional clay plaster. In this type of plaster, are you using clay, and it can be cutted straw or remain when you
Polova.
clavy.
Yeah, polova.
Pavo. So you mix it, and you can by hand you can put it directly on straw balls. This is on this part, but here it is just horse dung and some fine sand and fine clay. Okay.
And I'm sorry, and in Ukraine somehow maybe it's important, maybe not, but it should be whitewashed. Is it the decoration or not? I don't know.
Whitewashed?
Whitewashed with the lime.
With lime.
Always, because only
an extra
if you have the barn, it may be left like this. But if it's a house, it should be whitewashed everywhere.
Not every year.
Then you don't need sheet, you just use lime to
Yeah,
protect
you
the
don't
buildings.
Okay, you know there is a plenty of old knowledge. Some of it is already forgotten. For example, this white plaster, as I know, especially in Hungary, was made with a magyarok túró, hogyan mondják angolul a túrót? No, the fresh cheese. Cottage cheese.
Or buttermilk.
So this plaster is made with tvarog, with cottage cheese, because it is more stable. So there is a plenty of all this old knowledge. Unfortunately, some of them are, or many of them are forgotten. Okay.
So can I have a question? For wood, what did you use to protect the wood?
It is protected by so-called wood oil. It is oil made from pine tree oil.
Yeah, great.
Protection of timber. Timber was protected by pine tree oil. Yeah, so it is pure natural oil from pine trees. What else? If any question, tell me. Okay, so I think that many of you have used, I hope successfully, the composting toilet. Do you know what is the idea of composting toilet? Okay, but why?
Use it to save water.
Make compost.
To get fertilizer.
Yes, in fact, this amount of fertilizer is not so big. But what is the?
Oh, it's such a group.
To manage.
Get rid of the waste.
Save water.
Sorry?
Save water.
Yes, to save water, I think that it is the main reason, because you are not using the drinking water for flushing of toilet. You know, I've been 3 times in India, and I know what does it mean if you have no drinking water. And here in Europe, drinking water is used for flushing of toilet. Yeah. So, no. So saving of water, it is one reason. Making of compost, you know, I am cleaning it once in a year, and this amount of compost is not so big.
I meant like composting process is much easier.
Yeah, because you know it is not, you know, in nature the process is always going toward minimizing of energy use. Yeah, if nature found a solution that you have to have one hole for shit, sorry, and other one for piss, that means that it is optimization of something. Yeah, because if you are separating it, what is the reason? What do you think? Why nature is separating these two things?
Because this is two different materials and they can be used differently.
Yes. What's happened if you mix it?
Too much moisture.
It does not compost, it just spoils.
Yeah, sure. It is there is no composting, but bacteria are growing, and some you know it is dangerous and so on. So to separate it is the way how to find the solution. To mix it is the way how to make a problem. Because in normal toilet you mix it, don't take care, somebody will solve it. And somewhere at the end of city they have to mix it and put the oxygen over there and treat it and so on, and solve this problem. You know? So if you separate, there is no problem. So composting toilet.
You may be keen on visiting it because this is Klevus multi-room system, not the typical pocket.
No, we have a big composter.
So if you haven't seen any yet, I think it might be worth to go to.
Okay, we can go to forest to see it.
Fully enjoy.
Yeah, enjoy it. You can find inside your piece. Okay.
You can take it away.
Okay, so I think that the principle is well understandable. This big pipe is used for shit, so by gravitation it is falling down. The pee is going outside. I will show you the biofilter to the biofilter, and the grey water and so on is going to biofilter outside. And so here are the composters made by local carpenter. and they work like the ceramic stove in principle. There is a chimney. Instead of fire, there is a composting process. Yeah.
Methane.
Sorry.
Methane. Methane.
Methane. I think that not so much methane is created because of sea dust which is added. So methane is if there would be pee inside, there would be methane, but it is dry. That means there is almost no methane. If it is dry process, there is almost no methane. Yeah? So it is even good for climate. So we are sending greeting to Greta. So
You like Greta, it seems. A lot.
me too, of course.
You like.
No, but I usually like wise children. Yeah, not stupid children. So, any question? So, it is a principle of ceramic.
Is it something inside or just
Inside is shit.
so?
Yeah, but
It's not. It is insulated.
Insulated.
It have to be insulated to have some stable temperature because if should be too cold, the process of composting should stop.
But what is inside? Plastic.
What do you use for it?
No.
If you open it.
It is. I will not open it. It is just a wood, some heat insulation, and cement. Cement to protect the wood. You know.
and how you take out the compost at the other side?
We're gonna see, Kasia.
From here and you go to the
Kasia, because Kasia would like to do
Yes,
it.
but it is. I told you that it is already absolutely dry, so it is not heavy. I do it once in a year.
So you mean the shit goes drops into the box?
Yeah.
And because of thermal process, it converts into compost, and then at the very bottom you take from this door.
Yeah.
And nothing more happens.
Well, it's not just temperature; it's the carbon you add to actually start the compost process.
Do you add something? Do you add something?
No bacteria, sawdust from time to time. But even paper include carbon. No bacteria.
And the fan, what we use,
When you cut some wood,
And so does,
constantly
yes.
going, větrák tam
Yeah,
stále.
Yeah, the ventilation. You know, ventilation is because it was, the prototype. We are not professional builders of toilets and so on. So we made, I don't know already why, but we made only one chimney. And like in the fireplace, if the chimney is very complicated, there is not so good draft. Yeah. So it is the same case because of that. There is such a small ventilator from old PC, and it is working already 10 years. So it is just moving.
all the time, it's working all the time.
It removes the air from this box, yes?
What is the capacity of it?
Of this.
Manier.
I don't know.
1.5 cubic meters. It can be full till that level?
No. Forget it. The bottom is under this angle, so it is slowly moving down this mass. So here is already the mature, the old one, and over there is the fresh one. Yeah.
Okay, where is the bottom? Can you show?
Yeah, you
Like
can see
what
it.
is the angle? What
You
is the
can see
angle?
it from here.
As you can see it.
Okay.
This is
What
So
insulation?
it's like
you use?
less than cubic meter.
Yes, but it will be not filled. It will be maximum up to here. Yeah.
But the volume decreases all the time.
You know, it is not a toilet for the whole village, you know. No. Even we have here two times per year such a big fest. More than 100 people come here on this time, but it's enough.
And there was not too much liquid in the sheet, so you don't need to remove it. Yes, because it's liquid still, but it evaporates. Yes,
Liquid. I hope it is mostly not liquid. You know, it
Unless
is
you
not,
have diarrhea, it's fine.
it should be
Solid.
a little bit more solid. Depends on.
No, but anyway, there is liquid.
Depends on problems.
There is liquid. Okay, but it's
But
evaporates.
it evaporates because of chimney. Because of that, this ventilation is there.
And where can you remove the manure which is ready? Here, down there.
Yes.
Okay, so you do it with buckets, I guess, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
So bare hands.
Could you say that like one family we would probably have to remove it twice a year maximum, right? If you have just one family.
One family once in a year.
Once a year.
But it needs some time to be composted, yes? At least.
Yeah, I was just
Yeah,
I mean, you cannot remove it every month.
Fajny system, że używasz.
If there will be many people, you cannot remove it in 1 month because it will be not composted yet.
Aha, a to się skompostuje.
You should to have more of these toilets, of course. Yeah. The best way is to clean it at least once in a year or even once in 2 years.
So then you have to calculate what capacity you need to remove.
But there is a big enough buffer, you know. If
Yeah,
many
sure.
people come for 1 week and it accumulates and then it.
No, I'm thinking in terms of steady usage.
Yeah.
I would, after 1 year, most of this mass is paper and sawdust. In fact, the mass of this sheet is absolutely minimized.
Where do you use the manure that you get out from here?
You can put it somewhere to the fruit trees, for example, or
You can create medicine.
Hormonal
anticonception.
You can use I spoke one old man from Košice, and he told me that in Košice we had the biggest Bulgarian minority. In the past we had about 2,000 Bulgarian farmers or gardeners. They have been the best gardeners, Bulgarians. And on this time the Bulgarians have collected the human shit and used it for production of cucumbers and pumpkins because they need a lot of nitrates, you know. So it is the best fertilizer, and it doesn't harm product.
So we have one for our family and we have another for visitors, so that we know what we have and that we use ours for our vegetables.
Can I ask, you said that you live somewhere close by in a normal house. So at your house, do you use a composting table?
In our house we had for maybe 15 years small compact composting toilet. But then the canalization had been built and we had to connect on canalization, so there is no other.
So you have a flushing table? I mean toilet? Okay, so you use flushing table.
Yeah.
Toilet.
Yeah, but we are careful with flushing.
My experience is we also had this one. In Czech Republic it was made from old plastic, like this.
Yeah, things. Sure. You can already buy it as a yes.
We still have it for like workshops, but we had it in our house. There was so much flies there that we had to remove it.
Be careful, don't fall to the composter.
So the gray pipe is for ventilation, and the blue one is for liquid.
For pee. Yeah.
Okay.
Do you know what is it? by the way.
For
Yeah, it is,
biochar.
no,
Biochar.
it is so-called gasifier.
TOLD.
A gasifier,
Yeah, I've seen you.
it is very effective way of using of firewood gasifying. That if you make fire inside, in a short time it will produce so-called wood gas, and already the wood gas will burn, not the wood directly. So it is a principle which is used by most expensive this stoves, but you can do it yourself.
So the wood gas comes from here?
Yes.
But so it has to go down and around, right?
Yeah.
So
there is a double
double wall. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is all. There is nothing missing. You put a pot on top.
No, it is complete.
Yeah.
It is just a way of circulation of gases.
I'm surprised that the gas goes from the bottom around. That's very interesting.
And you can make a charcoal, yes, actually.
Yes, you can make a charcoal. It is excellent fertilizer, and you can we use it for cooking on the fasts, and it is very effective.
So it's more efficient than just firewood.
Much more. It is 10 times more.
So it lasts longer using less wood.
Yeah, sure. For example, I can make 15 or 20 liters of soup here with a basket of branches.
Do you sell it?
Yes, we have some of them for sale. Yeah.
So I can buy it?
Yeah, sure.
How much?
Sylvia will tell you. I'm not sure now. It is 30 euros or something, right? I ask Sylvia, but we still have some.
50.
Can I buy? Can I buy a drawing?
Sorry?
Drawing.
No, license. Yeah, yes.
Not license,
Not
but a
just
drawing.
drawing.
Just
How to make it?
yeah, on a paper. Do you have it on the paper?
So you can find.
You make a picture.
But I think that we have this drawing. We have one publication where it is explained how to do
Because
it.
I have people who can do it.
То твою меч зроблять
You
без
light it from the
drawing.
top.
Sorry?
You fill it and you light it from
sure.
the top.
Yeah. Or if you put the pot here, you can fill it from the side.
You can keep adding if you need.
Last
This is more for air.
And also to put firewood because you
You
put
don't have to
the
remove the
pot,
pot.
so you can put inside the firewood from the side.
And you use really small branches.
Small branches or some small parts of wood or anything.
Simple and genius. Simple and genius. Все, будем гадавать. Загально можем гадавать.
Grey water or with pea and so on. Come on. Okay, so I told you that principle of composting toilet is separation. That means the liquid part, so-called grey water. Grey water include pee, water from kitchen, water from shower and so on, is going here. It is called biofilter, or what is the other name? Root filter. Yeah. So it is very simple way how to manage this called grey water. Of course, you are not able to use some chemicals but I think it is normal that you will not put some chemicals to the toilet or to the sink. And this is such a basin. On the bottom there is a layer of sand and gravel, and then you have some plants which likes moisture, some vlhkomilné in English. Vlhkomilné.
Marshland plants.
Yeah, so you know, the plants which are naturally living in wetlands, you know, wetland plants, and these plants altogether with bacteria which are living on the roots of these plants and so on, are removing all these materials from the grey water, because, you know, for example, in pea there is phosphorus, and phosphorus is a fertilizer for plants. Yeah.
Sorry, is it pea inside?
Yeah, it is. It is a funny story because, you know, this building had to be officially certified because it is, you know, we are educational center, and during this process of certification, or you know, putting of stamps that we can use it, the biggest problem was the toilet, because the ladies they had no idea what does it mean composting toilet, because you have to have a normal toilet in the house and so on. And finally we had to make one compromise, that there is this septic tank which is for nothing. That means that the grey water is going to septic tank, and from septic tank it is going to the biofilter. Okay, but they have been happy that okay, now it is all right, and yeah. So it is very easy way how to clean the grey water. This part is, have nothing to do with this part. It will be so-called rain garden. So we will collect the rainwater here, and there will be some wetland plants over there. So it is more some small ecosystem. Yeah.
When did you build this? When did you build this?
This 1 month ago. Yeah.
So you have the one pipe goes from the toilet, then into this bucket.
Yeah.
But somehow this is inside there is some level of this peas and water. I don't know. And then you have one pipe goes there.
Going there.
One pipe.
Yes.
And how wide is this?
Yeah.
Is it? It's wide.
10 centimeters.
And then it just where it ends, or it goes.
It is somewhere there. I'm not.
And it's just let the liquid flow.
Yes.
So the liquid starts to on the surface, and then it's moving down.
Yes.
Gravel and sand.
Yes.
But
And
how
there is a folia in the bottom. And at the end there is no folia. That at the end, after the purification, the clean water will sink to the ground.
It's like divided into pieces, yes? This
Not
part
divided, just here there is a folia, and at the end there is no folia. That folia.
Plonka.
Folia.
So are these plants, except the middle one that's not the moisture?
А він, мабуть, пояснював раніше, навіщо цей контейнер?
Так,
Just a few words. It is not our. We have friends, and they are the yoga teachers, and they asked us to have a place for making of this yurta, because they use it for yoga courses. This yurta was built by one family from Hungary, from Zala. So it is not our business, but we are happy to have it here. It is quite nice.
Do you remember what's the size of the yurta?
Sorry?
The size? Do you know what's the size of the yurta? How many meters it's wide?
I don't know. Of course, it is not the traditional yurta, but you know, again, you have to understand the climate differences between Mongolia and Central Europe. In Central Asia, the winter is very cold but very dry. Here, the winter is not so cold but wet. And if you will use some like tent for surface, it will be destroyed in 1 or 2 winters. Yeah. So because of that, it is plastic. Otherwise, it should not survive because the climate is different. You know, here is not Mongolia.
Yes.
But the construction is very traditional, wooden, very nice. Okay. So now something about the garden, if we are here. Maybe you have seen this table that we are certified natural garden. Natural garden, that means that we are not using any chemicals, and we are respecting some natural principles. That means that we provide the space for nature. That means that different forms of wild nature or animals, insects, and so on can find some place to live here. And I told you that we are not focused on production of vegetables or fruits. We have some vegetables and fruits, but it is not our primary goal. Now we are more and more focused on development of our healing garden or therapeutical garden, because we always try to do, you know, most of people are doing what the majority is doing. We always do what the majority is not doing. That means that we try to go forward always a little bit. Garden therapy is almost absolutely unknown in Slovakia. I have no idea about some serious garden therapy or therapeutical gardens here. Even this way of therapy is very effective. We have many children here which are hyperactive, ADHD, for example. There are more and more people with more children with these troubles. One of the case of this trouble are mobiles, for example, or computers. Artificial technologies, and as well as we have visitors which are autists, for example, or like Greta, the Asperger syndrome, and so on. And all these syndromes can be very effectively treated by nature. Yeah, it's mean the treating by nature, treating by garden, treating by contact with real life is something what fortunately we still very need. Yeah, because otherwise we will lose our how to say the odolnosť, resilience. For example, you know, more and more people, if it is a little bit cold, they have to have 10 sweaters and so on because it is cold and so on. So they cannot not deal with some natural changes, and all the signs are quite bad. For us, that means we try to accommodate this garden for children, but not only for children, but also for adults, which need to have some contact with nature. I said that not only children. For example, we had one visit here from it is not a hospital, it is a center for old people with some mental or physical problems, and there was one old lady with strong depression, and she was just sitting on this bench and looking on the water in this pond. You know, it is there is plenty of life. You can see the frogs and insects and fish and everything over there. And she just spoke to himself that if I could stay here, this garden would heal me. After a few hours, of course, a bus came here and took them away to this hospital. There is no garden, nothing. So, of course, it is more cheap than some chemical medicines, but you know, it is business. Of course, I understand that in many cases the medicine is necessary, but not always and not everywhere. Garden therapy and therapeutical garden is our such a new deal or new vision to fulfill. So these activities these children they have here are sometimes absolutely very simple. That I just take some leaves of these plants. Most of these plants are healing medical herbs like sage or mint or lemongrass or thyme or artemisia and so on and so on. All of them are used for different problems, but most of them have a very nice or very interesting smell, and just to children can take these leaves and smell it, and they will find these new fragrances, these new smells, which are surprising for them, and people have usually very strong memory for smells, you know. For example, I remember the smell of gasoline in Romania. First time I was in my parents in Romania at the Black Sea. I was 11 years old, and I remember the smell. Yeah, so the people remember the smells very well, and it is one of the ways to influence them. They can even taste it, because most of these leaves you can taste. Some are bitter, but no problem. You can taste even something if it also like it bitter sometimes. Not always it is sweet, and so on. So come on.
Where's the lemongrass near?
Lemongrass. It will be on other place. Here you can find this mint. There is oregano. There is thyme. Here is sage. And so.
Yeah, lemongrass I would be eager to see.
Lemongrass is somewhere here. Yeah, so So we try to collect as much medical herbs as possible, which are able to grow in these conditions, even like echinacea. You can find even some professional medicines made from echinacea. The root of echinacea is very effective. Or do you know what is this? What is this?
Айва японська. Айва японська, звичайно.
Декоративно чи ні?
Їстівна, у нас цього повно.
You know what is it?
No, fennel. It's fennel.
Take one seed and eat it. No fair.
Ні, то ні.
What this taste? What do you remind? What do you remind?
Anish, yeah.
Yeah.
Їдеш.
Yeah. So as a children,
For the babies.
Smells like anish, but
Honest. I think that you remember this taste from childhood, from some sweets, you know, the cukriki. Yeah, so it is. Jak sa to povie, Paťa? Anis, jak sa povie po anglicky?
Oh, everybody understands.
Po anglicky anis. No, to je fennel. Dobre, so it is fennel. It looks like cumin, but it is not a cumin. It is so-called sweet cumin or fennel. Well, so it is of course medical herb. Small children, if they have some stomach problems, you can make tea and so on. I think that you remember this plant from yesterday.
Воно кисне?
Так, воно дуже кисле, тверде, його можна терти як лимон.
So we may cut it.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
No, don't touch it.
Something yesterday.
Kde je medovka, nevidím ju. Vytali sa na medovku.
Там же ж насіння є, воно з насіння може достати.
You can feel this like lemon, you know.
Som prišla, ako náhle som videla, že ste tu. Ja som chcela tu naozaj, keď sa šlape mi to.
To je citrónová tráva, sa nedá pestovať. Citrónová tráva vymrzne, to je tropická rastlina. To je africká rastlina. Čo? Dobre. Ja môžem.
You know what is this? What is this?
It is not a medical herb. It is just a flower. Do you know what is this?
Amaranth.
Amaranth, and do you know for what can be used?
You can make tea with leaves, and
No.
you can eat.
Maybe, but you can make wheat muku. Muka.
Yeah.
Muka. Flour. You can make a flour from amaranth. It is for who have problems with gluten free. Yeah, it is gluten free.
ingredient of bread is flour. So
You make flour from it, okay.
Strawberries.
Strawberry guy.
Hey. It was too late. So.
Саме лимонград, ні?
Ні, це цибуля.
Azt máshonnan szedtem ki. Ezt nem innen húztam. Ez későn vettem. I think that you will not know this one. Who is the expert on medical herbs? Who knows what is this one? Can you smell it? It is absolutely different type of smell.
I don't know.
What do you feel in this smell? What remind
I don't know
you
this plant.
this smell?
Are we guessing?
Yes, we are guessing.
Nie, to nie je ono. Eucalyptus, but it is not eucalyptus, of course, because eucalyptus is a tropical tree.
Toothpaste.
It is like eucalyptus, like toothpaste, but it is called marolist. I don't know in English. Or balsamita. It have a smell like eucalyptus, and it is also a medical herb and very aromatic herb. For example, in the past, old ladies when they went for church, they took one leaf of that, and when during they sitting in the church, and if they felt that they will asleep, they were smelling this smell, and it was wakening them up because it have a very strong and there
Silvia, o ktorej rastline ste teraz hovorili?
Menorda.
balsamita, marolist. Do you know this plant?
Myslím, že nemá, da?
Toto. Hej, no, toto už veľmi nevonia.
Jakže nie?
Artemisa. There is plenty of different kinds of Artemisa. Some of them are very strong allergens, but some of them are very healthy, mostly for stomach. For example, absinthe. Do you know absinthe? Absinthe is made from Artemisa.
Ale to je ktorá? Vieme, ktorá to je?
Toto je, myslím, že obyčajná. Toto je asi obyčajná.
Estragon nie je.
No, nie, to je obyčajná asi. Toto je obyčajná asi. To je obyčajná. Vulgaris. It is Artemisia vulgaris. Estragon is, for example, traditional spice for cooking in Hungary. Tarkon.
Da?
Absint je Artemisia absinthum.
Yes, and Artemisia absinthum is used for absinthe. It has some hallucinogens or something like that. Pupalka, I don't know the English name. The oil for if you have a burnt skin. This oil is used.
Коров'як? Ні, це не коров'як. Я не знаю, що це.
Okay, so here is our yelling garden. Okay, not very stable, and as I told you already, 2 or 3 turbines have fallen down. In the center,
inside now?
Yes, in the center, the deep is about 2.5 meters. Okay, so of course, if you have a garden, it would be nice to have some water there, because without water, the biodiversity of your garden will be very reduced. Because of course, animals have to drink. Even birds need to have some water for drinking. And many types of species are directly connected with water. So, if you create some small garden pond, in few days you can observe that how there are more and more different types of living organisms over there. As I told you, in the center it is 2.5 meters deep. It is because of the temperature of the water. If water is too shallow, during the hard winter, there can be even 40 centimeters of ice, and it will destroy almost completely the life in the pond. If you have deep water, it will be better resistant to hard winter, and even the self-cleaning ability is much higher. So you can see that the water is really very clean over there. Even the leaves are falling down and so on. The water is very clean.
Have you put there some fish?
One teacher from the school have put some fishes over there. But even if nobody would put some fish there, you can find some fish in the pond. What do you think? What is the way how fish? Yes, duck. Yes, on the feather. Of course, this place is visited by wild ducks, and they can bring the eggs of fish.
And there are the small larves of frogs here.
Yes.
How they are? It's late. It's autumn. They usually are outside.
It is up to them. They know what do they do.
They prefer. They are swimming.
Yeah. By the way, it is one of the most popular type of natural therapy. It was idea of Sylvia that children came here, and Sylvia tell them that now take off your shoes and put your legs to water, and what the saying, what žubrenka, jak se poje po anglicky? Žubren.
Oh, little frogs.
You know these little frogs. This
one.
Yeah, not already frog, but you know this. These sperms. Jak? Paddle?
The second stage of frog's life.
Yeah. Okay, you know what I mean. Yeah. Not the frog, but this sperm. You know. So what do you think? What do they do if you put your legs inside?
Explore.
Sorry.
Explore.
Ground.
Explore how?
Eat.
Bite.
Yeah. They will taste you. Yeah. What is that? Yeah. And so it is excellent way how to feel. How to feel the nature, the touch of nature in your skin. So
Let's do it.
yeah, sure, of course. So now,
May I have a
show
question?
me how natural are you?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
What does plastic bottles do in pond?
This plastic, it is flowing.
Island.
No, you know, it is island, artificial island, made from old plastic bottles. If you have some open water table, what do you think? What is the danger? What can happen?
No, it will become smelly without plants.
You know, if there is a direct sunshine, there can be over growing of algae, and it is very dangerous because the water try to be rotten. Yeah. So to protect it, you have to have some shadow. One way is to plant a big tree like this. Jak se poje? Morus, ja viem, ale po English name. Eperfo. Elder.
Mulberry. Šokovica.
Oh, you know these strawberries. Yeah. Okay, so one of way is to plant the trees around water table because tree will make a shadow, and during the summer the water will be not overheated, because if water is too warm, it is bad. It is bad for quality of water. For water is good to be cold. Cold water is healthy water. Warm water is dangerous. So tree can help you, or some artificial. Sorry.
What do you do with the leaves of the tree?
That fall in the water.
Fall. So who care in nature with that? So the people think that always it is necessary to clean something or to take care of something. Who care?
Make better something.
Who do it in nature? so let's do nature to do its business. Yeah.
But you don't have problem with the entropia due to the leaves then?
In entropia, I think that if water table is overheated by sunshine, it is the basic condition for how do you think entropy? What?
No, I meant like when the water gets rotted.
Yeah, but the reason is that water is warm. You have if water is cold, it doesn't happen. Because of that, you have to have some shadow protecting the water from overheating.
Do you do some maintenance of this?
Very rare. Yeah. The only problem we had that it is a problem always with folia, that what to use for covering of bottom. I know that folia is plastic. You can do it from clay, but you will do it for very long period, because you must to use the big amount of clay, and you have to make several layers of this clay and so on. So it is really very time-consuming process. In average eco-center in Czech Republic, the eco-centers like this are directly supported by government, and they usually have, let's say, 20 people working there. We are two people. So don't expect from us that we will make the clay bottom. So bottom is from plastic.
And how deep is this lichen rooted?
So it's up to nature.
No, but is it all the way on the bottom?
Yeah, sure.
Because this guy likes the mud that sedimented.
For example, this Lekno Taviroja, it needs to have some mud in the bottom. If you will always clean it, you will have no place for this Lekno. So nature.
Lilia.
Water lily. Yeah, water lily.
And what is the source of this water? From where?
At the beginning, we used the water from tap, and then we let it to nature. So rain, snow, and so on.
So even with a dry summer like this, you still have this level of water?
Yeah, but the condition is that you have to have deep enough.
Okay.
If you will have it only 40 centimeters, it will dry.
So
but if you have a joint,
Deeper than wider.
yes, for sure.
If deeper than wider, the water stays much longer.
What is the depth?
In the center, 2.5 meters.
And you have a shadow here. I have it 1 meter 80, and it's also good.
Okay, it's enough, but if it is less than 1 meter, it is not so good. Yeah, so in any case, it is very helpful to have some water body in the garden. Otherwise, the garden is not so nice and not so not only colorful, but not so natural or biodiverse.
Use the island just to demonstrate how to create an island or to create a shade to the water, and
it have
more functions, right?
You know, it have different functions. Of course, it is a sample how you can do it, and also it is functioning as a source of shadow.
It's also cleaning the water. It cleans the water also, this plant. And
yes,
you cut
because,
it.
there are roots of willow, you know. That means that because there is almost no soil, so these willow trees, by the way, these willow trees have growing there themselves. We were not planting it. They, after a few years, they started to accommodate this place, and they are taking the food just from the water. These willow trees. That means that they are cleaning the water.
And also small fish hides in these roots.
Yeah, sure, of course.
Hide in these roots. Yeah.
Yeah, because
like
you know,
find shelter
the
there.
pond is not that you will have some plastic.
It's like
basin,
flowing biofilter. Flowing biofilter.
Yeah. So in any case, the pond or water body is the most diverse ecosystem you can have in garden.
Could you tell us how you made exactly this moving island?
You will collect some. Hey man, carefully. So you have to collect some old bottles and Silvia, povedz ti, že jak sa robí to? To je zrkalo, lebo to Silvia made it, so Silvia will explain. Bo už ma hrdlo boli, Silvia, povedz to.
This is Yuri.
Who jumps in? So here is the example of effect of humans on nature.
It is very easy.
Good example.
Yes. It is very easy to do it because if you have bottles, plastic bottles, empty plastic bottles, locked, or so you put it. It depends how large you would like to create it. You put plastic bottles one to another. You buy geotextilia. Okay. So geotextilia 2.5 times larger than this one. On a half of these you put plastic bottles, then cover, but cover not as a flat, but cover it this way. You know, plastic, plastic. So you have something like fence, this fence, and then it is very easy if you can sew. Okay. Just this really simple one, not like this, just this way. You sew these two layers of geotextilia together between bottles. So this line, and the end of the shape. That is no soil, nothing else. If you would like to make this process faster, you can put a little bit soil on this, but we didn't. And you have a grass. We have a willow because this is willow, so it is first range for seeds. And we cut it maybe 3 or 4 times, these willows, because they have started to be really bigger. We had ducks, wild ducks, and it was very nice to observe them because catcher, the male. Female was there, sitting on the eggs, very quietly. And there is a lot of people and children, noisy children here. So if children came, the male was like, he was flying here and protect the female and the eggs. But a lot of amount of children and adults was so high that they ran away and just eggs.
The duck.
Sorry?
Did you have little ducks?
Boli, jasne, že boli, ostalo jedno vajce po nich, samozrejme.
It was mallard. Kryžin. What kind of duck?
This jaká kačka, kačka divoká, normálna kačica, wild duck.
Mallard.
Wild duck.
There are a lot of them.
Okay.
Not everybody is.
So expert.
It is very usual.
Yeah.
No, because he's bird watcher, that's why he's eager to know what type of.
Yes.
I can show it to you on a picture.
Yes.
Okay.
There are many species.
And we have also video of this because it was amazing. It is ecosystem, so you can find it is not only surface and flowers and leaves. It is the main part of ecosystem is under the water. Small insects, I don't know Latin names but water snails and dravé chrobáky. Predators. So it is living here. Also kind of fishes. So it is really living system, and we don't need to do anything with this. No cleaning, no taking care. Time to time we take off this. Žaburinka, this green.
Žaburinka, I don't know, this
Ryaska.
green leaves.
Ryaska in Russian, in Ukrainian.
By the way, it shows that water is clean. Yeah? Otherwise, it would be not there. So this,
and it is very nice to speak with people that because they said this is clean water, and I said okay, but it is clean water, chemically and biologically clean.
So I can drink
because sorry.
Can I drink it?
You can.
One, just once.
But the question is, it is basin? And they
Yes.
said, no, it is pond. Okay, in a basin with a lot of chlorine, there is a clean blue water, but this is system with a clean, really biological, chemically clean water.
You have to drive us home.
So,
Don't drink it, please.
there have been a lot of.
We have.
Otherwise, we will make a lot of stops.
Anyway, you can try.
Why are you speaking about funeral?
No, ako sa povedia žubrienky. Pulci, ako sa povedia pulci. Aha. Because they are these žubrienky, ako sa povedia žubrienky.
How?
They are
really
they still are, so you can take off shoes and you can try this
Malki.
massage because they are here.
At first, you put the
And then please. Ja viem, ale že teraz to môžu vyskúšať, lebo sú tam tie žubrienky, to je moja noha. And now don't drink this water, please.
No, after you eat.
Drink or not drink?
Not.
This is the
That's the best one.
there.
Clean water, that's not.
So in garden, when you are preparing some design or plan of your garden, if it is good to have some zones which you need. One of the zones we need is a child zone or children zone, because we have a number of children groups here. So over there is a playground for children made completely from waste material and natural material, because of course there is no waste, there is only not enough creativity. If you are creative, you see the source, not the waste. Yeah. And it is the same with our, you know what is it?
Stove.
For what?
Pizza.
You can even make pizza, but primarily
Bread.
To fire the pots?
Yes. It is for ceramic. Yeah, so it is a traditional way how to make ceramic. Of course, you can make even pizza or bread over there, but primary this is typical shape for ceramic oven. It is made completely from old clay bricks. I don't know what is the English name. Valky, vajok.
Oj Bože.
We call it valki in Ukrainian.
You know, so we got a lot of them. We used this valky for making of plaster, as well as for building of this ceramic stove. Because from time to time we are having here some workshops on traditional pottery. So we have here different facilities for workshops or for activities with children, of course. If you have some idea on permaculture, you know that each garden or each farm should have some zone of wilderness, wild zone. That means some place where you will do nothing, just to watch the nature. That means that this place is for nature, not for you. Yeah. Here, over there, you can see this place. Of course, 50 years ago it was garden, because you can see that there is a walnut and so on. But maybe 50 years nobody take care of this corner, and now it is wilderness, and you can observe the birds over there. The hedgehogs can find a place over there. And other types of kinds of animals. So don't forget really on wilderness. Okay. Just maybe to have some idea how does it work, if you never have seen it. From here you put inside the pottery, and from here you make a fire. It is necessary to keep this fire about half day. Then you close.
You have to close this.
Yes, you completely close. We put the bricks and we use a plaster. We completely cover all these holes and leave it up to the next day. And on next day we open it, and it is ready. You can see a lot of pottery inside of the building, which was made on this way. So it is very easy. And
how do you regulate the temperature? Do you close those holes as well and up?
You know, it is. We have a friend who is a potter, and he's skilled, so he know that he just have a look inside, and from the color of the fire, he can say that what is the temperature. Yeah. But as I told you, it takes about half day to make a fire inside. Not a big fire, but a fire. And after that you finish it, close it, and on next day it is ready. Okay.
Is it black when it's ready?
You can make also black pottery, but you have to use the plenty of fresh branches from pine. You know.
So this one, if you use other branches, it's not.
No. You have to use fresh branches, green branches from pine, from you know, ABS, no, jedla alebo smerek. Because it contains a lot of
raisin.
Yeah. And it makes the ceramic black. Yeah. So we, without that, the ceramic will not black. Yeah. Okay. So. Well, finally, some words about the Hobbit house. Maybe some of you on yesterday or this morning have you visited it. So in 2009, 10 years ago, we have finished the Ecocentrum, and 4 years later, we got idea that we should try to create some building which is almost completely just from really natural material or from waste material, from recycled material. Yeah. So this is the example of so-called earth house. That means the walls are constructed on this way that this time in village there been the works on building of pipe system, and there was plenty of digged soil. This digged soil is considered as a waste which have been put somewhere for money. You know, village have paid for that, and we said to mayor that we will take 40 trucks of this soil for construction, and so the walls are made on this way that you will fill the bags, like you know, used for potatoes, for example. You fill these bags with soil, with moistured soil, and these bags you will put next one to other, next to each other, like the bricks. You make one layer of these bags, then you use such a big log of wood to press it, to make it in one level. Then you start with the second level. You can see it here. Yeah. But, here you can see the bag. Yeah.
But the sun will destroy this bag, yes?
If it stays like this, open
so
to
you
the
have
sun.
to protect, otherwise the sun will destroy it. And
Yes, I know, but it is for instruction. For presentation. And this wall is just for decoration. You know, it has no other function, just decoration. So it is the way how to build the walls. When the walls have been finished, the whole walls or the house, future house, have been covered by huge amount of soil, because we had to create artificial small hill. Because the best way, if you have some slope of terrain and you dig it to this slope, but here the terrain is flat. Because of that, we had to create the hill.
And the roof? How you make the roof?
From inside you'll see better. The only plastic we had to use is for roof, of course, the plastic protection of roof because we have no idea how it should be used some natural material. But you can see, for example, these old tires on the roof. What do you think? Why we have used these old tires?
Because it has a big slope. So
Yeah, sure. Because otherwise the soil would go down. So these tires keep the soil and create the structure of green roof. So the plaster is soil. Walls are soil. The rocks are from river right here. The wood, it is the firewood, the cheapest wood, which was cleaned by volunteers. Tires from some local man who is repairing the cars and so on. So really you can...
Did you make any calculation how heavy this roof could
Yeah,
be?
sure. Yeah, sure. You know, if you are going to build a house, it is a necessary job, because if you will do some serious mistakes, it will cost a lot of effort or money.
All right.
So, yeah. And because of that, we had, of course, a professional advisor who was taking care of these activities to prevent some troubles. So this roof was created to keep even 40 children, which will run up to the roof and jump over there and so on. Yeah. So I think that it is strong enough. So this is a trombe wall. Maybe you have heard about it. It is a very easy way how you can improve your heating inside. It is just piece of wall which is facing south and which is painted black, and you put something like window over there, and you have 3 holes on the up and 3 holes down, and you know it is basic physics that the air inside is warming, and you know the colder air is down and warm is up. That means that from the down the system is sucking this cold air, heating it here, and from up it is going inside to the house. So this is a very simple heat converter without any electricity and so on. Okay, so come on, come here.
Welcome! Welcome!
Wow!
Welcome at my place!
Oh, this is our place.
Welcome!
Sorry to interrupt your pause.
So, because of this big mass of soil, the temperature is very stable, like in cellar, you know. So, during the hot summer it is colder, during the cold winter it is warmer. So it is much more stable than outside, and the microclimate is very pleasant. And here is something like I would say quality with no name, as the architect Alexander used this word. It is very hard to find the name for something what is called, for example, genius loci and so on. So it is the same that here is some.
We have the word hagaogamagadega.
It is which language?
Geza's language.
It is not Hungarian word, so sorry.
Geza's word.
So this quality with no name is you can feel it here, because on yesterday I think I told you that these hyperactive children, which always have to move and jump and so on, they come here inside and they sit down and they stop to move. Really, I'm serious. Yeah, I'm not any mystic and that I have a mystical knowledge and shit. No, I think that it is very simple, because what do you think? Why?
There's no, maybe there's no end.
Yeah, so the shape of this interior let them to be feel safe. Yeah,
it's like in a womb.
Yeah,
when you're a child.
Yeah, because these children very often feel to be unsafe, endangered by something and so on, and here they feel to be safe. There are no direct angles, no sharp some things. So everything is nice and pleasant and safe, and they feel to be safe. Yeah, so that's the whole mystery about it. Of course, if you are a good businessman, you can make a big money from it. It is mystic and so on. No mystic. So it is example how you can create some small house almost just from natural material. Of course, you have to do it carefully. For example, this roof, it is so-called self-supporting roof. If you will watch how they are self-supporting these timbers, it was very exciting to do it, because we had one carpenter who was learning traditional carpentry in Norway, but even he never have seen this roof in reality. So following just some YouTube movies, we have done it, but it works well. Yeah.
So how many people you actually used to build the roof?
It was various, because the whole house was built mostly during the weekend courses that we started on Friday afternoon and continued on Saturday, sometimes Sunday. Sometimes 10 people came, sometimes 40 people came.
But for the roof, you have to do it at the same time, right? Just this roof, just
the
the
structure
rafters.
of the roof.
No, you can put some supporting.
Yes, it is not necessary to have so many people, because first you have to put one pole. You start to be tired, and you will buy some new house.
What are these things?
It is for regulation of this system of trombe wall. It is just a simple. It is not. We are not using it very much, but it is just for regulation of the system of circulation of.
But what does it do?
It close or open these small doors down outside and so. It is not for it. It is just. Take it.
Don't touch it.
No, it is just. Let's take it.
Да, або відкривати.
Take it as a toy.
It's not connected, I think.
Jura.
Oh, Jura.
You can play with it.
Naughty child.
I am a child.
Jura is equivalent to 20 children.
Yes.
So, and of course also bottom is from clay. For example, this mosaic was made one our friend of us. She collected the broken tiles from shop where they sell it, from garbage, and created it. So again, there is no waste. There is just lack of creativity.
And how long these pieces are?
Oh no, about 5 centimeters.
5 only. But it looks like concrete, not.
No, it is a kind of clay. It is a ceramic clay which was excavated on this hill nearby. It is called. It is something similar like kaolin, but it is not a kaolin, but it is kind of clay.
Did you?
No concrete in the whole building. There is no cement.
You didn't cover it with oil.
Sorry.
Here, you didn't cover it with oil.
Yes, it is covered by oil.
Flax oil. Or...
I'm not sure now what type of oil it was, but it is covered by oil.
Okay.
I forgot.
Flax is very good.
Flax.
Яка олія?
Він не пам'ятає. Але зазвичай
Таке
льонову.
флакс.
Льонова олія. Зазвичай.
Flex or linen is the same.
Линен – це тканина. Флекс – це рослина.
Maybe it was linum. I'm not sure.
Well, the original linoleum, which has a very bad name in these days because it's PVC, but original linoleum is the natural material. It's a linoleum and very fine dust and very fine clay mixed together, and it, on some Utah or some, and it creates linoleum. So I don't know if you had this name linoleum. Now it's like awful, but they make it from PVC, and now they call it like they call it marmoleum to make it different. So.
Marmalade. And this oven?
This oven. This oven is oven.
And the tube is the chimney is metal one, yes, or do we use clay?
Yeah.
And how the clay is fixed on this.
There is some net.
Net.
This one, very nice. The only thing I don't like is the screws,
Yeah, sure, but of course, if you have
you can hide them.
If you have a rich father or plenty of time, or I don't know what, you can use the piece of oak wood,
wedge at the end.
And use it instead of that. But
money, time is money.
It is safe, but to make let's say 50 pieces or from wood, you have to cut it by hand very carefully, and this diameter have to be very careful and so on. So.
Actually, the wood is sometimes safer for fire protection. If you use wood, if you use metal, the heat goes very quickly inside, and the metal joints break much faster than if you have a wood joint. So for fire protection, it's better.
If it's fire, then you have just to run and not to wait till.
Exactly. Yeah, but here is small. It's easy to leave. But if you have some bigger buildings,
and there is not that much wood on the level.
Right. Usually we have a fire and people want to protect the thing, so they go inside, outside, and then if you have some structure on top, it collapses. But yeah, it's much more work to do it using the wood.
You can make small holes and then you can put wood on top.
But these structures don't really require any joints. It's possible to make it completely without the screws.
Yes, of course, but it is a real question of time.
Yeah, like I do the workshops for the carpentry, and the truth is that people usually they really enjoy the work. They enjoy the process. You know, we make all the joints without any metallic parts.
Yeah, but
at
if
the end they
if you
say
came for a weekend, then you can enjoy the process. But if you have to build a building which will take 3 months, then
usually they decide that they'll make some simplifications. Yeah. Usually they say, you know, it was nice to see how you can do it precisely with like 1 millimeter gaps. You see very big gaps here. You can really make it so that it will fit one to another, but it's so much more.
My father likes to make
things like 5 centimeter gap. You can make it after drying. My norm is like 2 millimeters.
My father can make a 0.5 millimeter.
Yeah, you make 0.5 millimeter when you make
it. It takes eternity.
Yeah, you make 0.5 millimeter when you make it, but then the wood works a little bit, and sometimes at the beginning it's 0.5 millimeter, and then 2 years ago.
My point was just saying that then it takes eternity for him something to do.
Yeah. So this is fine. It's functional. It's nice.
That's why I prefer to do something comme ci comme ça, but very fast and it's efficient. It's really great, and I was staying here for a night with another Jura. This is not a hobbit hut, but Jura's hut, and it was not cold. Of course, we were in sleeping bags.
It was warm. It's
very
warm and
cool.
it's dry. The temperature is stable.
Humidity is also stable because of the clay.
Yeah.
But there is no humidity. It was
humidity. Now, of course, it is there is a very dry period, but there is still some humidity.
Did people use it in the winter, maybe with the
Yeah,
snow?
sometimes. Yeah.
It takes for a while to heat it up, right? Was it okay?
No problem.
No problem.
Oh.
It's nice.
That's it?
Yeah, so if you have some questions or I don't know what, because
What about in the winter when in the outside some minus 10 degrees, but here is still over the plus? Is it in plus temperature?
Yeah, it should be, because especially if there is some sunshine, it helps. You know, this thrombo helps a little bit and so on. Yeah. And even if the glasses, the windows would be better insulated, it could be much better. But you know, this we got free of charge this windows from one theater, which have been used, you know, for theater, just like decoration, you know. So it is far from the perfect. Yeah. You know, it is always a question that how much time you can spend for something you wish to create, or like it is a question of time or money. But in money it is, you know, such a tricky way. If you have to have plenty of money, you have to work very much. That means that your time is spent on work, or you have or time or money.
Yeah, and how much money it's spent?
Most expensive was this folia. No, wood is firewood. It is the cheapest wood. It was quite from here, from this forest 5 kilometers from here. So it was cheap. The folia, it was the most expensive.